You, what up? This is Welcome to the Back Room, episode 11. I was sleeping like 15 seconds ago. I wanted to just chill, take a little bit of lay down for a second. I took a nap and I woke up literally like a minute ago. So I'm shot. I'm waiting for Sharky to get on. And then we'll be chilling.
I caught my man sleeping on the job.
What else? I got a couch in my room.
Holy shit, that was amazing. Rich is usually on like 8 o'clock on the dot. Like 8:01, I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
Yo, I got a TV in my room and a couch, and I put on Bob Ross. And
oh no,
it was super soothing. Like, I was
talking about squirrels and painting.
Yeah, I had I had like a long break before we had to do this, and yeah, I was out. But I'm awake now.
I hear you. I had like a super long stretch. I'm fucking emotionally and physically exhausted too. This has been one of those weeks where I'm like, was at the shop for 14 days straight and shit. Like, I feel you. That's why we're in my kitchen again. I'm not at the shop today. It's like
oh shit, if we were at my house, I'd be sleeping.
Done. There would have been no show today.
I would have never woken up at home.
Oh my goodness. Well, luckily you're awake now.
You have hot pink satanic earrings?
Yeah, well, I mean, these are upward, so they're just, pentacles. They're not upside down. But they match my nails, bro.
Good.
It's hot pink. This is the season, guys. Well, we're all here. We're all awake. So welcome to episode 11.
I was literally just sleeping. All right, let's go.
All right, because that's the way. Welcome to episode 11 of Welcome to the Back Room. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Sharky. This is our sleeping beauty, the darling of queens, my wonderful, amazing co-host, the man behind the plan who's pressing the buttons, Rich Five, folks.
You.
So, boy, do we have a treat. I like to consider this episode 11 season 2.
Okay.
I think 10 episodes constitutes a season. So this is season 2. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. In the room, I actually just saw her enter the room. So Rich, whenever you want, you can pull her in. We have none other than goddess of tattooing, Deb Yarin, on the line with us from Alaska. This is like the amazingness of Instagram. We've got New York City, Texas, and Alaska together in one room.
Boom.
Deb! So much. Yeah. Thank you for that introduction.
Oh my goodness. How exciting. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, good. Because I'm never sure whether I'm like on or what I'm doing. I was just I went to your page and I'm like, am I supposed to do something? But then it was what you explained to me, and it was pretty self-explanatory. So
yeah, it's pretty easy. We used to have a lot of problems. Our first 5 episodes, people could never get into the room, but we got it down to a science now.
Yeah, it was wrought with technical difficulties at one point.
Oh yeah.
But I can see.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to waste no time and jump right in.
I'm a little nervous. I will say that.
We're just talking about tattoos.
Yeah.
In a minute, you'll just start talking about tattoos, and you won't even. It'll just be the three of us talking.
I will say I am also from New York, so.
Hey.
Brooklyn. Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn.
Oh shit. Folks, we're in for a good time.
What part of Brooklyn are you from?
I'm from Flatbush Marine Park, Sheepshead Bay.
Oh yeah. Brooklyn.
Coney Island. I'm from the D train.
The D line.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I lived there till I was 19.
Okay.
So I grew up there. Yeah, and my parents are from Brooklyn, and
I still hear a little bit of Brooklyn in your voice.
I do too.
Oh,
I was going to say.
I've been away for a really long time, but I just got off the phone with my mom, and my mother has a still, even though she's not there anymore, but she still has her Brooklyn accent. And my sisters live in Jersey, so
Hey, that's what's up. Shit, this is going to be fucking awesome.
yeah. So they have even a stronger accent than I did.
We sure do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Coney Island, but that area. But I started hanging out outside of Brooklyn, like in the city, when I was young. So then, that has a totally different accent.
It does.
Sure.
It does. But they all sound badass.
People don't realize when they're not from New York how different everybody's accent is.
Oh yeah, Queens. I got a heavy, strong Queens accent, and Queens is completely different than Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Queens it's got a little bit of Long Island mixed in it. You know what I mean? The whole different accent.
There are nuances.
I've done when I was doing my whole podcast, I did an actual whole episode on the disappearing New York accent.
Oh, that's probably true because so many people have moved in.
Yeah, they're not New Yorkers.
Right.
Yeah, and
everybody sounds like they're from fucking California and Wisconsin.
Not only that, the world is just smaller. So everybody, we watch TV and we pick up little things. Like there was a whole like Lower East Side accent where people said words like turlet and Earl.
Oh, my grandmother, my nanny, she is from actually an area of New Brooklyn that like nobody even is aware of. She's from Garrison Beach.
Garrison. I know
Garrison.
Garrison.
You know where it is?
Yeah, sure.
That's like a tiny peninsula on the very end, which you could cross over to Queens because the bay is right there. And but she would say Earl and turlet and all of
Garrison's got its own whole accent
and their own people.
Own people. Garrison is its own animal for sure.
Yeah, it is so totally different. Yeah.
I think a book needs to be written. I think I hear two authors talking about a book that they need to write.
Well, you know what I always say when people say, I always think Brooklyn accent or New York accent. Like my mother is Jewish and she grew up she went to the same high school as Woody Allen and Barbara Streisand and Bernie Sanders. They all went to that high school. So whenever I say, well, there's certainly a difference between like an Italian accent, a Puerto Rican accent, a Jewish accent,
For sure.
It's all right. Only the realists need to know, and the rest of the world can catch up later.
That's right.
So Deb, we're going to hit you with the question that we start off with all our guests.
Okay.
And that question is, how would you define traditional tattooing given the opportunity to tell someone who maybe has no idea what it is? Is it a style? Is it a lifestyle? Is it a look? Is it all? What is it to you?
Well, for me, I do differentiate between American traditional tattooing and traditional tattooing. For me, I say, well, because what I think most people think American traditional, eagles, globes, anchors, so on and so forth, like the Coleman style tattooing. But when I say traditional tattooing, I think of traditional tattooing as something that has an outline and shading and color. That's what I think of as traditional tattooing.
Yeah,
now,
I get
saying
what that
the
means.
traditional tattooing, the application or the culture.
Well, I think you're the first person to add that little word that makes a little sense. Like you said, tattoo culture. I think thus far, most of us have been on one side of the gate or the other where we say it's the way you do the tattoo or it's the way you live your life. But the way you're saying it actually makes the most sense, that there is a culture, there's American traditional, which indicates the actual design.
Right.
And then there's traditional, which could be almost any kind of design, so long that it's following a specific path. That's brilliant.
And that's what I think. See, I think of myself as a traditional tattooist, not necessarily American traditional because of the designs. So a lot of times it's very interesting right now, when there's so much client input
Mm-hmm.
into tattooing, I will actually say, well, how do you send me a picture? Do you want an eagle? And how do you want it? Do you want it done, you know, photorealistically? Do you want it done traditionally? Or do you want it American traditional? And, you know, because I can only do certain things. You know, look at my work and you'll see what I do. And
Right.
but I consider myself a traditional tattooer in that I do an outline for the
Right.
most part, do an outline and follow that, the guidelines of how I learned how to tattoo or how I applied the technical side of tattooing.
Right. Like the formula, the
Right.
formula for a traditional tattoo. Yeah.
That's what I mean, but not American traditional.
Right.
Right. You know, I'm not like, you know, don't use that color or you wouldn't use that color. I'm not that kind of a tattooer.
Now, do you feel like in like American traditional that it is like a specific palette, and you don't it becomes non-American traditional if you break that palette and stuff?
Do I feel that way?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel that. I mean, I don't really, if I can't tell you exactly what colors they are, obviously not, because I'm thinking, what colors are they? Black, red, yellow, and
Right.
what else?
Brown.
Green, yeah.
Yeah.
Green.
Green.
Oh, green. Right. Yeah.
I mean,
But
I mean, I'm probably, now that you say that, if I had to classify myself, I'm probably an American traditional tattooer, and yeah, I don't really break that. I don't go outside that color wheel unless I'm asked.
you never do orange or purple or blue?
Unless I'm asked.
Okay.
Unless
Okay. Yeah.
if they say, "Oh, you want to put a little purple in there or something," then I'll do it. But if I'm just gonna just do it the way I think that I just would normally do it, I just do it with those 5
So
colors.
you don't charge extra for those colors?
No.
Of course he doesn't. What?
I'm
I
kidding.
love what you're saying though, because it's just so interesting. You know, I think that everybody here in this room does like really tough, strong, solid tattooing. But like your words, like I'm a traditional tattooer, but Richie's definitely an American traditional tattooer. Like we're doing two different things, but following that same line. And I could never figure out what to make of that until right now.
That makes
And
sense.
you know, now my aesthetic, I love American traditional tattooing. And for many years, I considered myself a military tattooer. But because I was tattooing military in the 80s and 90s, and I'm still outside of a military base, but now the people getting tattooed are not getting what, let's say, you look back and think of the 60s and what people tried to emulate in the 2000s. You know, it wasn't really until maybe the 90s and 2000s you still had some people in the 80s that were really still following that, but then everybody sort of, in my opinion, went away from it. Now, I loved American traditional tattooing, and but like when I got up to Alaska's, I've been here 20 years, and it's a totally different scene, even though it is, you know, there's Coast Guard, there's Army, and there's Navy. It's not like the rest of the country. It's not like definitely East Coast tattooing or West Coast tattooing. Didn't follow the guidelines, or not guidelines, but, you know, the aesthetic of it. And when I first got here, my boss, the guy that I worked with, he said to my husband, because we both worked at the shop, and I love him, so I'm not saying anything negative about him, but he said to my husband, he said, "What's with your wife and all that carny shit?" And he said, "Let's, you know, dial back the lines, you know, the weight of the line," because everybody was really into the finer lines here at the time. So you have to do what you can tell. And so now I have strayed away from American traditional tattooing, at least through the 90s, you know, the 2000s, early 2000s.
And it's probably for someone who's tattooing a long time. It's probably funny to see everything come full circle, back. It seems to just keep cycle,
Right.
and it's just, you know.
Well, when I left New York, the only people tattooing, it was still illegal for years. I left New York in 1979, so it was legal to 97, right?
Yeah, 64 to 97.
So 97, so it was the only one tattooing in that I knew of in Brooklyn was Tony, you know, Polito, so, and then Davita, which was so totally different, you know. And then everybody went to Long Island or New Jersey, you know.
Sure.
But that was okay. So that was that style. But then, you know, it was the 70s and 80s, and everybody wanted more like hippie, you know, kind of new age. I'm using that word like I've never used that word to describe tattooing before.
But it instantly drew a photograph. I was like, I saw like a Vivine Lazanga tattoo in my head.
Yeah, you know, like those stars, you know, with the wizard stars, you know, stars, you know, and you know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's kind of like the West Coast kind of what it influenced. I mean, the reason why I think people even call New York style tattooing like they're called, it gets East Coast and then it gets even smaller to be like New York style tattooing is because it was illegal and there was nobody here. And guys like Tony, who just follow like the Coleman method, he was the only game in town. So he was just still doing Coleman tattoos. He really didn't do anything new. He was just doing the same thing and he just kept it alive. You know what I mean? That's the reason why that New York style is always so.
And I love that. I love that now. And I have, even though when I started tattooing, it wasn't necessarily what I liked because I didn't really know people except like my dad and my uncle, older men that had that kind of work, you know, like, and everybody looked like they had just gotten off a ship or something. You know what I mean? It was like older spread work. And even though when I first started, I wasn't necessarily attracted to that, that I definitely went back to that. You know, I mean, that's what, when I, like, even in my shop, when we opened our shop in 2008, all the flash that when we first opened the shop, it was all flashed out. And, you know, mainly that kind of work that we would want to do. But it really just turned out to be more of a gallery. You know, nobody wanted it.
Nobody picks it,
Oh, no, nobody picked anything.
Yeah.
So we just have it up because we like to look at it. And that's a lot of my customers will say, oh, did you draw that or did you paint that? And some of it, you know, I'll say, point out that we did. But otherwise, I say, no, that's just what I love to look at, you know.
Yeah. We get a lot of that in our shop too. You know, over at R&D where Richie works, you know, that shit's on the wall because that's what they're tattooing and that's it. But similarly to, and what you see behind you is brand new. He just like expanded the shop, so it's gorgeous. Can't wait to see it.
That's all Tony.
I love that.
Where are you in Queens? Where in Queens?
I'm in the Glendale Ridgewood border.
Ridgewood's close to Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I could throw a rock at Brooklyn. Yeah, very close to Brooklyn.
Okay, where is that? Like Flatlands?
No, Ridgewood is it's touching Bushwick.
Okay, so it's further downtown.
Yes, it's touching.
Okay, yeah. I had a boyfriend on the E-train line. I used to take E-train into Queens. I had a boyfriend there. That's the only time I would go to Queens.
Yeah.
I have a similar story. There's always a boy in Queens.
Well, you know, and
there's always a girl in Brooklyn.
Hey, you know what? Touche.
His father played the saxophone for Duke Ellington's band for 27 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yep.
Queens has a very rich jazz history.
Yeah, his name was Paul Gonsalves, and his dad was a famous saxophone player, and I think his mother was a rockette.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Really?
That's a very New York story.
Yeah, Kew
Yes.
Gardens. They lived in an apartment in Kew Gardens.
Yep,
Yes.
there's the icing on the cake. But you know what? Let's stay on the subject of Flash real quick, because this is one of my favorite subjects to bring up. So right now, there's a big trend of tattooers painting some of the most beautiful Flash I've ever seen in my life, and then proceeding to tattoo it and cross it out and never do it again. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
But I don't know that. I don't know that trend necessarily of just doing it one time and that's
just
that.
Doing it one time. Now that you've heard this news for the first time, what do you think about that?
You know, I don't know. I'm kind of weird as far as, you know, like, do I really care, you know, honestly, if something that I have, somebody in Idaho is walking around with the same tattoo, you know, it really doesn't bother me. I don't care at all. And and I look at it like my person paying for the tattoo, it's their tattoo, you know. I mean, I have had people say, "Oh, throw that away," you know. I don't want anybody else to get that, you know. And right. But
well, the customer always wants that, but this is tattooers doing it.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know. How do I feel about now that I'm hearing
I hate it.
that?
Yeah,
well,
we hate it
like,
for sure.
What kind of thing are they painting? Are they like making a flower that has never been a flower before?
No. So that's the thing. They're painting Flash sheets that are kind of rip-offs of just regular Flash that you've seen all your life, with maybe a little twist. But it's a fully painted Flash sheet. Like, it's not just line drawings. Okay, but when they present it to the world,
it's like
they cross
a rose with 14 leaves versus 12 leaves or something like that.
For sure.
It's basically like they're just they're doing the designs, and I think it's really what they're doing is kind of being prima donnas and saying they don't want to do the same thing twice. And the reason I think they don't want to do the same thing twice is because they don't want to have this. They want to be able to. They're obsessed with Instagram.
Yeah, they want to post a new tattoo all the time.
Okay.
So they're changing the definition of Flash via this road that they're doing.
You know, you know, if a person can do that, and you know what, I'm kind of at the point I don't give a shit.
Okay. Acceptable answer.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was about to say, oh, well, you know, this, that, and the other thing. But you know what? If somebody is willing to pay that person for the privilege of never, you know, moving their hand this way or never adding rust to a leaf or whatever, and that person is going to swear that they'll never do it again. And what happens if they forget? What happens if they forget that they did that little bit of stuff? And then, I mean, are they going to sue them? You know, it's like crazy.
We're going to find out in another 5 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I have heard of some new things that, I mean, I'm not up on everything, but I have heard something going on, and I'm not even, you know what, I can't speak intelligently about it, so I should probably not say it. But it is something like, oh gosh, what is it? That a tattooer is going to do something, and it's almost like cryptocurrency, or I don't know.
So I've seen what you're talking about. I don't understand it either.
All right.
Can I just say that? It's going on. There's cryptocurrency artwork going on.
Yes.
I don't understand it. But we have a guest on next week who's going to be able to explain it to us.
We're talking about those NFTs?
Yeah, something like
the NFT, like the non-fundable, I think it's called NFTs. Yeah, it's very hard to understand. It's basically like a digital baseball card. I had a big long talk with somebody who really understands it, and it still doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I said. I can't speak on it, so I better shut up.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I know that I'm not making money off of it, so I'm like, whatever. I don't.
But you know, but as far as the painting a sheet of flash, never doing it again. All right, I am bringing up an awful story. Okay. One time I had a tattooer visit me. He came up from, I was living in Florida. He flew up, I flew down from Jersey or something, Jersey or New York, I don't know, Jersey. And he got a tattoo that he brought a design to me and he wanted me to do it. I did the design. And then a tattooer that helped get me into the business, he wanted the same design. And I was like, I can't do the same tattoo that this other tattooer, you know, I can't do that. And it was like a big blow up fist crazy gun fight. I mean, like a gun held on me for like 2 hours, you know, like a shotgun. It was a crazy, crazy story. So what I wound up calling the tattooer, and I mean, this is like 1985. I called the tattooer who came to me to get the tattoo. And I don't have people flying all over the world to get tattooed from me. So, you know, that was a big deal that somebody traveled, you know, whatever 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles to get tattooed from me at the time. So I told him the situation and that this person wanted to get a tattoo and that, you know, I was being held at gunpoint. I'm joking, but sort of. And I would change the design. So I like flipped the design, changed a couple of elements about it, and then so there are two people that have very similar tattoos now.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, but even that is, you know, I felt just an obligation because it was maybe because it was a tattooer and it was custom piece, you know, but even then I did it. So.
See, kids, even being held at gunpoint, Deb repeated a tattoo design because we're tattooers and that's your fucking job.
Right.
So maybe think twice the next time you cross out a piece of your flash on Instagram.
This gets
your
you very
life was not in danger.
I don't like it one bit, but it seems to get you it seems to get you a lot angrier than it gets me right now.
It makes me angry all the time. It makes me so fucking upset.
But let's talk about Flash. We're on the Flash thing. I was talking about this today, and I want to know if either of you thinks the same thing. Were you ever taught that there was a left-handed design and a right-handed design?
Yes.
How about you, Deb? Were you taught like that there's certain designs are drawn for
Do I know that there are designs
that are left-handed and some are right-handed?
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if that's my side or yours.
It might be your side because I hear them, but say it again. Say the whole question again.
I heard it. I didn't know. I heard the question.
Okay, good.
I didn't know specifically that it was drawn that way. I mean, I know that people tattoo differently. And right now, my youngest son is learning how to tattoo, and he's our only left-handed child. So a lot of times, and I brought this up before, a lot, you know, now you see people tattooing and they're like starting up here, you know, and they're filming themselves. And I'm like, what are you doing up there? You know, because I'm, you know, I learned bottom right, I'm right-handed. So, and I learned with acetate stencils. So, yeah, bottom right, and then move your way over. But now my son is left-handed and it's really difficult even teaching him. My husband is having not difficulty, but just it's a challenge, you know, when everything is different. But at least now he'll do his lettering from the left hand over. He'll do his lettering in a correct way, right? Do you do your lettering backwards?
It depends. Oh, hold on.
You do your lettering from right to left.
Oh, there you go.
I don't do my lettering backwards. I do it from left to right.
You know,
But
I
I know
can
a lot of
go
people
to,
that do
let
go
me
backwards.
move my setting. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to change the setting on my Wi-Fi. I'll be right back. I might get disconnected, so I'll have to come back.
If you get that disconnected, I'll get it
Yeah,
back.
it will bring you right back in.
Okay.
Don't worry
be
about
right
that.
back. One sec.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'll talk to you, Sharky, while I was talking about designs and I was talking about the thing where it's like people are saying that
lefty righty.
the design always got to face the front, and other tattooers say that it doesn't always have to face the front. Tony and Ronnie are on this thought of that. No, that design is drawn to be right-handed, so you have to do it this way.
Well, that's who told me that. It was Ronnie and Pete. And they're definitely the same ones who told, and they're right. If you take a design that's drawn perfectly and you just like
Flip it,
it
looks funny.
different. It looks wrong.
Right.
And so you have to redraw it the other way. So they definitely pressed that upon me
Like
really
Ronnie,
early. And that's why they used to cut two stencils.
right.
Okay.
And Ronnie
When
would
they
say
would cut
that
gas tapes.
if you try to do Malone, because Malone was left-handed, if you try to do Malone Flash, you should flip it before you do it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
No, I
just to
didn't.
make sure it's drawn right.
I was not, and I didn't know that. No, I didn't.
But you know, obviously have a very, very deep traditional. So you do follow the thing where a tattoo's got to face forward.
Yes.
Right.
Even though I do portraits, even though I'm not a portrait artist per se, but I do portraits. And a lot of times my portraits, it even bothers me if I take a photograph and the person is just like turned like this and it's still, they're turning backwards. It bugs me, but you can't flip the person.
Right, because they're
Right.
facing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But I'll try to get them to put it on the other arm. You know,
Right.
well,
Oh, yeah,
obviously if it's a profile, I'll have them go the right way. But even if their eyes are doing that, you know, I like them to go the correct way. Do you not have it faced forward?
No, I always have.
No,
I
yeah,
always
we
have
do.
it face forward, but I was saying to Sharky while you were doing it is Tony and Ronnie would say that you can't flip the designs because if you flip the designs, it doesn't look right anymore. And the reason I was having this discussion with a tattooer is Sugar, Tony's wife, just posted a picture today of a dude standing there like this with a parrot facing completely backwards, and it looks cool as fuck. It looks cool.
Okay. See, I didn't see it.
Can we say though that Tony was the king of that? He was
Tony-
the king of breaking rules and making it look awesome.
Yeah,
but
she posted a couple of things today. I just saw, but I didn't see the parrot. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, it's a parrot completely facing because Tony, he told me a bunch of times, he said, you're not supposed to flip them. And then the way I learned with Rob and Dave, they're like, yo, you have to flip it so it faces forward. You know, the Huck Spalding A to Z book is which, you know, that was always say to face forward. I'm sure that's the way you were taught. That's the way most people were taught, but you got some of this New York stuff that people are just like, no, that's not how it goes.
How do you feel though about a chest and a back? See, let's say an eagle, I'm comfortable if the eagle flies in or out on a chest or a back.
Sure.
You sometimes,
sure, I agree.
You know, not arm, but chest and back, I can go the other way.
I guess I'm going to try to always face it inward, but something like an eagle, because you can fuck around with the wings. The wings don't have to be, you know, you could do one of these. That's okay, but not like a face.
But most chest eagles I've ever seen drawn, for some reason, they're usually facing left. If you look at most of the chest eagles, they usually are most sheets.
Because a right-handed person drew it.
Because of right-handed
person.
You know, when you draw things, don't you automatically draw it to the left? Like the nose is over here, the beak is over here? Because otherwise you're drawing out of your arm, you know?
Right.
Well, I can only draw an eagle. I mean, I can only draw, you're right. You know, I, as a right-handed person, am very comfortable. If I draw a dragon or an eagle, whatever, their beak is here. I'm drawing this way with the eye, and I'll even flip the design for myself. I'll draw it right-handed and then
Yeah.
flip it over. Yeah. So absolutely. Yep. So now I am aware that there are right-hand drawings and left-hand drawings. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people walking around with tattoos on one side of their body only because, like, that's just the way I drew it. I was like, damn, it looks really good right here. Because I'm like, I'll draw it again. Put it right there. That's great. Yeah. That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Let's go back in time. Let's zap back in time into your early years of tattooing. You started tattooing very young. How old were you?
19.
19. That's
19.
Incredible. Wow. I mean, I know that you've told this story many times. You can kind of tell your version of it, but just talk about, how you got broken into tattooing and that kind of lifestyle you lived up until you left for Alaska.
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's a lot.
Yes. So talk about 30 years of your life.
Well, I'm going to be 62 on July 11th. So we'll be 62. Yeah. So
congratulations.
So that'll be, well, save for this year that I didn't tattoo. Otherwise, I guess I'd be tattooing 43 years. And my story about getting into tattooing, I was not going to be a tattooer. It wasn't something that I had set out to do as a teenager. It just so happened I was a go-go dancer. I was a go-go dancer in New Jersey. So I would travel from New York, from Brooklyn. I would get into the city, get take the subway into the city and the bus to Jersey, and I worked at clubs in New Jersey. And I just so happened to meet a tattooer who was an opportunist, and I was an aspiring artist, and he's like, well, I could teach you, how to tattoo. And I would not say even all these, he's my son, my oldest son tattoos up in Fairbanks, and it's his father. I wouldn't say he taught me how to tattoo, but he introduced me to the business. And I would say that, he showed me, a few things, but otherwise I learned, by myself. And then
were you tattooed at that time?
So when no, I wasn't even, I did a tattoo before I got a tattoo.
Sick.
So yeah, I did my first tattoo before I got one. I have told this story before, but you can't help it. I was so he had already started teaching me, like, how your machine works, how put your needle in, whatever. Not too much technical stuff. And he had a step van turned into he was going to tattoo out of it. And we were driving cross country. He had worked for Colonel Todd and Bob Shaw. So, and so we were driving out west, and we stopped in Arizona and at a flea market, and we worked out of the flea market on the weekends, and you could tattoo there. And so I just started tattooing at the flea market and out of the house, and it was 1979. And then the van broke down, and we wound up having to go back, went upstate New York. And so it's still 79. There was a little shop, a head shop up in Newport, which is exit 18 on the thruway. So there was a head shop, and I guess a tattooer had been there before. And we rented the back, the head shop, tattoo shop, and I worked there by myself. And I was maybe 20 at this point. I was pregnant with my first son. I really didn't know what I was doing, So, I did that for a little while. I feel so bad for all the people that I tattooed, but I did an okay job. I mean, everybody starts somewhere,
Yeah,
so
it's a part of the path, Everybody
right,
gets the tattoo they deserve, so don't feel too bad about
right. Yeah, I mean, I never lied to anybody. Everybody
it.
knew, and it
No,
was
we never
the
do.
70s, so then we went back to Jersey and I opened a shop. We opened a shop in Wayne, New Jersey in like 81, and it failed. So, and it just didn't do well. And, like, I was just me. The person I was tattooing with wasn't there most of the time, had another agenda, but
Right.
but still needed money. So it was necessary that we make money for that agenda. And so that's what I did till like 84, just hustling, trying to make money. So I was a go-go dancer in New Jersey. I had a shop. I was tattooing underground. And I did that till 1984. And then in 84, I went to Florida and moved to Daytona Beach. So while I was in New York in 1980 or 81, upstate New York, there's a tattooer. His name was Tony DiPietro. And he was a carny and lived upstate New York. And I say that in a good way, carny. I don't mean a bad way.
Yeah.
He was, he was a barker for the rides, to call people into the carnival. And he would he would hammer nails up his nose and everything. And he was heavily tattooed. And so it was 81 and I was no, I'm sorry, it was still 1980, and I was at a state fair, and I was pregnant with my first son, and I ran into this carnival barker, and I told him that he started talking to me, and I started talking to him about his tattoos, and I told him that I was working, had the shop in Newport, and I was tattooing, and he invited me to come to Daytona. He had a shop there all winter, and everybody would go there during bike week and tattoo there. So I went there in like 81 and tattooed with him. And that's where
wild. Daytona in 81, that had to be fucking bananas.
Yeah. 81 or 82, I met my date might be off, but it's 82 or 81 or 82. And
Deb, just for a second, I'm going to have you move a little further away from your phone because I think we're picking up feedback because you might be too close to the mic. I think from there, there'll be less.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I went there and that's where I met some tattoo friends. Eric Inksmith, who's been my friend since then. His ex-wife is Miss Sophia, who was Debbie Inksmith. She worked there. We all worked at the shop at Tony's in Daytona, and they helped me a lot. Eric helped me, and I don't really remember who else was there. A couple of other people working there. But I had some technical difficulties, and Eric helped me out because otherwise I wouldn't have known what to do. I'm really technically inept, and fortunately had just been tattooing, and nothing ever broke. So, and now here I was in Daytona, and I needed help, so they helped me. And we've been friends. We stayed friends for years, so we're still friends. And
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have anybody help you, let it be Eric Inksmith. There's that tattoo god stuff that we talk about here so often, like right place, right time, right people.
Right. So then, but I was still living up north then, and but then I would go to Daytona, and so I didn't see them for a couple of years. Then I moved to Daytona in '84. and I was managing a tattoo shop there and tattooing, and Bike Week came along, and Eric came to work, and Lou Scabaris, who's from Queens, Tattoo Lou, he came up, and then we just became friends. You know, I worked with I worked with some different people in Daytona. I worked with Underground, and then I worked with Tony Underground, then I worked with Gil Underground, and then I worked with Effie Craig, and he had a shop. It was called Southern Fried Tattoos, so we worked there. No offense to anybody, but I lived in the South for a long time, and I wasn't a huge fan. But you know, I don't like the heat too much, and it was different in the 80s, you know. So
I can imagine.
while I was working, I was working in Daytona. I actually had to. I was going to school. I was working tattoo shop all day, and I was a waitress at night on.
You were a hustler like no other.
When I was young, yeah, when I was younger. So, and so I was on US 1, the main strip that runs through Daytona. I was the midnight shift, you know, the graveyard shift.
Yeah.
So I did that till 88. I worked in Daytona.
And is that, I've seen a lot of pictures of you with Paul Rogers. That would be the Florida time?
Yeah, while we became really good friends. I met him while I was, there was a tattooer and a machine builder, Carl Brunel. He just passed away a couple of years ago, but he introduced me to Paul over the phone. And then I would start going up to visit Eric and Debbie, and they, you know, had the shop with Paul, and I became good friends with Paul, and was privileged to be able to visit and be friends with him until he passed away. He died in 1990. So, and I met him in 84. So.
And it's interesting how you say, like, in the beginning of this, you're like, you know, I'm not really a portrait artist, but like the most famous photograph of you is tattooing a portrait on Paul's chest. It's such a beautiful photograph to see as well. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, but like 10 years ago, I like wrote you an email and I was like, you're my favorite. Like, blah, blah. And you sent me a postcard of that picture of you and Paul along with some business cards, like Bob Roberts cards. And I was like, wow, she's so cool. Like, you definitely have always been the sweetest, most accommodating.
I mean, I remember, of course, that we spoke, but yeah. Oh. Well, Paul, I remember that portrait, of course. It was one of my first portraits, so it was really nice of, you know, that he let me do it. And it was of his late wife, Helen. So it really meant a lot. But that's a perfect story. My stencil started wiping away. I didn't use an acetate sample. That used with a hectograph pencil. Yeah, I didn't have a stencil machine, I don't think. Probably a hectograph pencil. Anyway, but even still, my stencil started wiping away. In my head, I just kept hearing, that is just the end of any career you might ever have in tattooing. But fortunately, it came out all right, you know, and he was really great about it, and he showed it off to everybody, and it was really like his real honor and real privilege. It's the best tattoo I've ever done. So, I mean, it had the most meaning.
It's an amazing story.
It's a hard one to top. I said it's a hard one to top.
Yeah, it was great. I wish I had gotten tattooed by Paul, though. I don't have anything by Paul. So, I don't even have a smiley face from Paul. I mean, I have my smiley face. I don't know if you could see it right here. But it's Mike Wilson did my smile. You know, I don't know. Paul didn't. I tattooed him, but he didn't tattoo me. So anyway, I was with Paul at a national convention in San Diego in the 80s. And I met Fast Freddy, it was his name. And he had a shop in Columbus, Georgia. And he invited us to work there. So I went and worked there, and I was there and that was a super busy shop outside of the Army base. Are you able to hear me? Because I'm hearing a lot.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah, the echo is like tiny, but you can hear every word you're saying.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Because otherwise I feel like I'm sounding like a echoing crazy person. But
no, we can hear you just fine. You know, I mean, the reality is that you're in Alaska, I'm in Texas, and he's in New York. Like, this is pretty fucking good considering.
Okay. Yeah, so then like I said, I met Freddie at a convention, and this was so the first few years I considered my tattooing was like underground and failing and crazy. The next few years in Daytona, it was crazy biker, town where and it was biker in the 80s, which is real different. It was funny. I was just not to go off track, but I was just looking through. There's if you want to on Facebook, there's a girl, Pulsating Paula, was her name. She documented biker lifestyle, especially in New Jersey and through the 80s, 90s. And I was looking through her photos, and it's amazing how many like white power, swastika, all, during the biker, Japanese sentiment, anti-Japanese sentiment. It's really amazing how this was the 80s and 90s. You'd think that it would almost be reversed, that, I mean, it was so acceptable to be like wearing shirts like that. And all through motorcycle, like the culture, the biker culture. But it's on her page. I thought that was interesting. But she's got a lot of old tattooers there too. But so then I was in the whole biker thing for, tattooing mainly bikers for those 4 years, and working with Paul. And then got that job with Freddie, and that was my first introduction to the military. And I think because, years ago, really, if you were tattooing and you were tattooing full time, you really had to have, your people, that would supply you, you know what I mean? With,
Sure.
So you'd have customers. You didn't have customers if you didn't have, I guess, a subculture. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So anyway, so then I was in a super busy military town right outside of a big Army base from 88 to 93. And there was like crazy busy, and Wild Bill, Sailor Bill Killingsworth his shop was right down the street, and he was like infamous, carnival and carnival tattooer. And
he's got some of the scariest. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of scary stories from a lot of people. It seems like he may have been the scariest. Sailor Bill Killingsworth.
Yeah,
I heard some crazy stories about that.
And he was, and I don't know joke, but it's like he'll get his Killingsworth or something like that, his name. But yeah, while I was there, he had shot a woman in the face, and I don't think she died. Well, maybe she did. I don't know. But he had to pay, I heard, like close to $1 million to not go to prison. And when my husband and I, Don, we've been married for 30 years. He and I went out to Sailor Bill's house And it was like such a crazy experience because we had worked at the rival shop in town for a few years, and you just didn't. We never went by his shop. He never came by ours. There was all this like carnival tattoo folklore, like you'd throw peanut shells in front of somebody's door, and that means you're not going to make money. They'd put like fox urine or muskrat urine in your air conditioning stuff. I mean, you'd
Sharky
hear
taking
like
notes.
crazy.
It's fucking great.
But you'd hear all this crazy stuff. And anyway, so we wound up, my husband and I, we wound up going out there because he was having some stuff for sale. And I think my husband bought a needle jig from him or something, and a couple of other things. But we went out there, and it was really a shack in the middle of, I think it was I think we were in Alabama. It was right on the Georgia-Alabama border. And it was like a dirt floor shack with like snakes in a cage. And I mean, I think they might have had the snakes in the shop. I don't know. Because if somebody stops, this is a true story. I had a customer, I was doing his whole back in Daytona, and it wasn't finished. And when we moved to Georgia, he had to come down and travel. And he stopped at the shop. I never saw him again. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not saying he's dead or anything, but he never, if you went to that shop before you got to our shop, you never made it to our shop. We were further along on the trip. Right. And that's just how it was. I don't know what happened, but you never made it there. So I never saw him again. But we wound up going out there, and it was such a weird experience because, he was so infamous. My okay, so the guy I worked for had obviously, I think he had come to town to work for Sailor Bill, and then they had a falling out, and he opened a shop. So they were always on the out. But Freddie was from Michigan, Port Huron, and he was a real carny too, and he worked for Bob Shaw and Todd too. He worked on the pipe. Anyway, he would tell the story that Sailor Bill had his wife. Her name was Edie, and I don't recall, she had a beautiful back piece. Beautiful back piece. I don't remember. And I feel terrible that I've forgotten because it's famous. But anyway, she would play like the Spider Woman at the carnival, and they buried her like up to her, her neck, and then she'd have like spider legs, like, and it was like a side. Like, so she was the live spider lady at the carnival. But one time they had like a storm or something, and Freddie would joke that, Bill got drunk and they forgot Edie was buried in the ground. And like he came back and she had like, ice cream wrappers like on her face.
Oh no, wait, it cut off. Wait, repeat that, it cut off. So it was that they forgot her in the ground and what?
She had all the trash all
like
over her.
Buried up to her neck. And she had, like spider legs, so she would look like the spider lady, at the carnival. And then people would pay, whatever amount of money to see the spider lady at the carnival. And that was Bill's wife. But they were just crazy characters.
I mean, I've heard that there was a story of I know there's a story of him, of Zeke and him getting into an argument, and Zeke went to go to the bathroom or something like that, and the guy shot. Yeah, and if Zeke was taking a piss, he would have killed him, but Zeke was taking a shit, so he lived because Zeke was sitting down. You know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of stories about Bill Killingsworth I've heard throughout the years. Like, he seems like a fucking lunatic.
I'm not shooting enough people. I'm not doing this right.
Yeah, and it was like a what is it called? A sponge and bucket shop, like,
yeah.
It was, and but Zeke, it was funny. Zeke actually wound up here in Alaska, and I interviewed him for Tattoo Artist Magazine, and it was crazy. I'm telling you, crazy interview. But he did tell me, I don't remember who told me. Maybe he didn't tell me, but he would. It was crazy. Like when he was staying at Sailor Bill's house, and I don't know, crazy stories. But anyway, so I was there till 93, and actually, and so my husband and I, we've been married 30 years. We were in our shop at Freddy's, and then there was a shooting there with my oldest son's father. Got into a fight and shot one of our our co-workers, and I got fired. I didn't shoot anybody, but I got fired. So I wound up working at another shop in town. And then my husband, Don, he wound up working at another shop in town. So we were there till 93. And then we moved. My husband's in the Army. And so he was tattooing. He learned how to tattoo at Freddy's shop at the end of 80s or 90. And we moved on to Clarksville, Tennessee. And we tattooed outside of the gate there out of that's Fort Campbell. So when we were there, I feel so weird just talking. You can ask me questions.
No, we're loving the stories.
Yeah, we like to hear the stories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's
All right,
totally
so
fine
anyway,
because
so
we want to hear I'm so fascinated by this just because of the amount of like fucking moxie and tenacity that is going on so that you can tattoo. Like, you really cut your teeth through this.
I talk about it, it's
yes, there's been 3 shootings already in the story.
So crazy.
And one woman buried up to her head in sand.
I was thinking about it. It's funny because I was telling one of my children. I don't know how this happened, but when I went to Daytona one of the first times, my son was just a baby, my oldest son, and we were going to Daytona, and we got a ride with a guy who, he and his girlfriend happened to be going to Daytona too. And so it was like, why did I go with these people that I had never met, from Jersey to Daytona? And I was thinking about it, and one of my kids said, well, who were they? And it was so weird because the guy that drove me to Daytona, his parents were really involved. He was a high priest in, what is that? It's like it is like a Latin, Haitian kind of.
Santeria?
Voodoo priest?
Santeria?
Yes.
Holy shit.
And he was like a high priest. Yeah. And so I drove in the back of the car with my newborn baby with this high priest and his girlfriend to Daytona. And, by the end of the trip, they're changing diapers, we're all eating out.
Wow.
But I think, I was 21 years old. Like, what are you doing, on these crazy trips? But that's just how things went. I know. And especially, now I've had 6 children. I have 6 children. I've had, my youngest are 20 and 22. And I'm not overbearing, but I'm a little bit, I'm not that overprotective, but like my daughter, she goes camping and hiking, and my kids go hiking in the mountains and, with bear spray and, and
right, because if you think about what you were doing at their age, you're like, oh shit, like
it's terrifying.
This is a terrifying thing. Sure.
I know, but I think, yeah, and that was, I don't know, crazy. So anyway, so then I wound up in Clarksville, Tennessee, and tattooing in military town, and real nice people there. It was a small shop called Dancing Dragon. It's still there, and they're right outside of Fort Campbell, and worked there. And then we went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and that was, really tiny town. There wasn't a lot going there. There was a really nice guy. I went out everywhere we went. I would go job, looking at shops to see if I could work, at least a couple of days a week, or when whatever shift I could get. And there was a super nice guy there. Mike Laporte was his name. But it wasn't a busy town. So I worked underground mostly there, even though my husband was able to go work in the shop. I mean, the guy was super nice. He would give my husband money at the end of a shift if my husband didn't make anything, tattooing.
Wow.
Like, yeah, isn't that crazy? But really nice guy.
Person.
And yeah, it was crazy because now when we went looking, there were only 3 shops there, and it's a busy military base. One shop I went into, the guy just hired me, and I'm like, don't you want to look at my portfolio or anything? And he was like, no, you could have the job. But he got hit by a vehicle. He got hit by a bus. And then we went into another shop, which was, another biker shop. And they did have like snakes and a pool table. It looked like the set of a movie from what you think a tattoo shop would look like.
Right.
Yeah, it was like a clubhouse.
Yeah, that's what it was like. And I didn't want to work there. And
I don't blame you.
then
yeah, you probably had enough to hear with that shit by that point. Like, you already knew what it was.
Yeah, and it was funny because my teenage son, he was like 16. I brought him with me for protection, just so I didn't seem like a single lady going in looking for a job in Louisiana. So,
no, again, all this Southern talk, like in my head, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just can't imagine what that was like for you then. I mean, unreal.
And that was an awful town. That town where we were in Leesville was right near Jasper, Texas. We were right near the border of Jasper, where Jasper was. And that was, they in the military would say, don't even gas up there. Don't even stop. Just keep going. Don't stop there. So, and then we wound up in Alaska. So, and we moved up here in 2000. So I've been up here for 21 years.
Speaking of snakes and spider ladies and all that stuff, you and I share a mutual love for bulldogs.
Oh, I have him on my 5th bulldog.
Your 5th?
And he's 11 years old.
I'm on my 3rd bulldog, and she is 8.
Yeah, he's 11. He was in here with me, but now he's in the other room because he's losing his eyesight and his hearing, and he likes to get up and wander. So otherwise I would show him to you. I love bulldogs.
They're the best.
My dog's losing his sight and his hearing too, dude.
Yeah, my girl Shay, the dog I had right before my current dog, she lived for a year being completely deaf and completely blind for a whole year.
How old was she when she died?
She died when she was almost 13 when she died.
And she was a bulldog?
Bulldog, yeah.
A bulldog? Oh.
Yeah, bulldogs. They're the best.
I love them.
Dogs are resilient. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they want to
live.
They'll lose their arms, their legs. They're sticking around.
The only thing with bulldogs is that they do live too short of a time. They do. They go too young.
I would have a herd of them. I would have a whole herd of bulldogs if I could. I love them so much.
Me too.
And that's what's kept me okay.
Yeah, we're a
this
group of
last
animal lovers
year.
here.
My dog, and we had an earthquake the year before, really a pretty big earthquake, and it really traumatized it. So between the earthquake and then the following year, the pandemic, he really has attached us.
Yeah. My bulldog is so attached to my wife right now because my wife is working from home. So it's like she's got the dog home. She's on the couch.
She's mommy now. Like
the whole day home. Like when they're gonna make Lori go back to when they make her go back to the office.
You feel like we telepathically connect to the dog? Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna take ours with us. My boy's gonna have. I'm sorry, what?
I think it's just feedback. I think it's just feedback.
I hear you well.
Should I move back? Can you hear me?
No, I don't think it matters at this point. It's fine. But what I will do is say,
I can hear you.
We're doing great. We have passed the hour mark, which I told you earlier would happen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of jump you into another set of questions, and then we're going to see if anybody here has questions. So we want to ask questions about machines. Obviously, spending time with Paul. Oh, that's okay. Tell me.
Maybe we should call it. It seems to be getting worse.
You know what? Then yeah. All right. So we'll call it for tonight if you're breaking up, Deb. But we'd like to invite you on for a second interview if you'd like to join us. And if you can't hear what I'm saying, that's okay. We will make it happen. Because you can hear me, right, Rich?
Yes, I can hear you. But let's definitely we'll call it here because it seems the connection seems to got bad. But we definitely would love to have Deb on a second time somewhere down the line. Because this was actually excellent.
It was good. So, Deb, what we'll do is we'll get in contact with you and hook it up for a second interview. And we just want to thank everybody for joining us for episode 11 of Welcome to the Back Room. You want to join us next week for episode 12, where we will have Andre Malcolm as our guest. And he's going to explain how to do a million back pieces and what it's like to have a giant thermofax machine and cryptocurrency. Deb, we'll talk to you again soon before the month's out.
We'll talk to you soon, Deb.
Bye. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. I'll be back again. We're not done.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.